Hello, Jean in the Faith Formation office. The topic that I was going to talk about today is one that I have been praying on and reflecting on a little bit over the last couple weeks, which is my own personal tendency to worry. I tend to worry about a lot of things that are out of my control. I tend to worry a little too much and give a little too much time and energy to worrying. And it's just sort of something that I've always noticed in myself and always worked towards improving. But the other day, I was out for a walk and a podcast came on. Once one podcast finished, a new podcast came on my iPhone that I hadn't selected. And the topic was 3 things that we waste time doing and that we need to stop. It was a podcast by Danielle Bean, who works with a Catholic mom and approaches topics from the perspective of a Catholic mom and wife. So she went on to say that the number one thing that we do waste time doing, that we need to stop, is worrying. I felt like the podcast that she was recording, well, even though it was recorded like in the summer sometime, was written just for me. I needed to hear what she had to say. She talked about just the different things that we worry about as a wife and a mother, and things that we worry about just as human beings. Right now in the world, there's so much we can worry about, right? There's, what's going on with the coronavirus, and will our family stay healthy? There's, will the schools go remote, or will we ever get back in person, or how is this going to happen, and how's it going to affect our children? It's what's going on with the economy, and what are the financial implications, or are we going to lose our jobs, or what's going to be the results of the election? I feel like there's a lot out there that if we let ourselves, we can worry about. But much of it, we can't necessarily control. And she caught me with this phrase. Worrying is talking to yourself about things you cannot control, while prayer is talking to God about things He can control. And her thesis, or her argument at the end of why we shouldn't waste time worrying, is that in fact, it's a big waste of time, and that our time would be better spent praying. That every time we think to worry, we should turn to God in prayer. It's like a trigger, because you know what? God's looking for us to trust Him, and He might not be able to solve all of our problems, but worrying doesn't solve them either. And Jesus knows us. So if we placed our trust in Jesus instead of spending time and energy worrying, that's a challenge for me, for sure. She quoted the Gospel of Matthew, a passage that I've heard before and actually heard and listened to and felt like I really need to work on that. I'll put the passage below, but where Jesus, at the end of the passage, Jesus says to His followers, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Nope. I couldn't believe the podcast kind of came on at this time that I'm thinking a little bit and trying to improve my own tendency to worry. Has God ever sent you a message so clear? I think the message was clear for me to continue to work on this. And Danielle Bean in the podcast said that one of the ways we can do that is when we're tempted to worry is simply to pray and say, Jesus, I place my trust in you. I'm hoping that over the next few weeks, as the ups and downs of the days come and the unknown and all that is approaching as winter comes and so forth, that I can truly be someone who places my trust in Jesus as opposed to wasting time worrying.